And now it's time for the latest exciting episode of Doz's Television Workshop.
Hello and welcome back to Doz's Television Workshop, now in 4K. You can see all the wrinkles on my face. The idea is to use this new 4K camera. Wasn't a lot of money, very cheap. If you want to know more about it, let me know in the comments. To replace the pointing downwards camera. Unfortunately, due to a slight error in understanding how this new camera works, I have already completed this video, but I've had to remake this first section because I managed to screw all the footage up. In fact, what I managed to do was record all the bits in between the stuff I wanted. Not ideal. But yeah, this time I hope I've got it right. Unfortunately, that does mean I have just done my repair, and in fact, I've lost all the footage looking down, but we still got these two cameras. So let me know what you think about this 4K footage anyway. So yeah, I'd like to hear your views on that. So what's going on today? We've had a bit of a disastrous couple of weeks, to be honest. Middle of last week, I was editing the video that you saw last weekend, the Raspberry Pi PatGen video. It's been very successful. Thanks a lot, by the way, for all the new subscribers. What have we got at the moment? 643, can't be bad. Anyway, I sat there editing away on the computer, and you'll notice that this chest of drawers is brand new. And that's because the 15-year-old IKEA drawers that were there previously collapsed. And when I mean collapsed, it was a mess. Literally, stuff was all piled around me. It was just terrible. And to be honest, the workshop's a bit of a bomb site usually anyway. And it's made me get on with a big tidy up. And the other thing I noticed while I was editing away was a slight hum every now and again. Just a sort of transformer hum, like ding, ding. Every now and again, I thought, what's this, as I'm working away? And thought nothing of it. Switched off the two breakers to switch the bench off at the end of the day. And, you know, came in the following day, switched the breakers on. And unfortunately, my beloved power supply, the right-hand side, was under an extremely heavy load. The display was all nonsensical, no output from it, just humming like mad. The left-hand side was still functioning. So anyway, let's get into that repair. Alrighty, here it is, the Thurlby Thandar PL330DP power supply. I've had it for years. It's been superbly reliable. And now it isn't. Right, you'll notice, by the way, the camera now looking down, that's the 4K one. And these two cameras, left and right, there are old 1080 progressive cameras. I'm not using the interlaced ones at the moment, so yeah, there we are. Right, what's wrong? I'll show you. It's plugged into the mains at the moment, and this is what I was greeted to that following morning in the workshop when I clicked the two circuit breakers that control the bench on. It's that. Most unpleasant. This side is obviously distressed. This side seems to be working okay, but this side clearly not. And we've got that awful, awful humming. And I also noticed when I did this initially that there was a sort of sizzling noise for this from this side as well. So yeah, let's get the thing in parts. And the beauty of this is I now have a tool drawer that I intend to keep tight, at least semi-tidy, in my new chest of drawers. I have to say the whole process of the thing collapsing has been quite cathartic. Right, let's just fetch the screws out of here. I must apologise, by the way, about the state of the bench because of all the clearing up and tidying up that's had to go on. I still haven't finished. It will be ongoing for the next couple of weeks, because to be honest, if you could see behind me, I'm glad you can't, because it's embarrassing. There's another thing we need to do, of course. Let's just pull the mains plug out before we put ourselves at risk. Let me move some of this rubbish out of the way. There we go. I have to say that the amount of stuff that came out of those drawers, and I just thought, you know what, I'm never going to use this. Let's just get it recycled. Some of it went to e-waste. Hundreds, hundreds of Woolwart style power packs of kit long since demised that I thought, oh, that'll come in handy one day. I've still got plenty. So, right, appears there. Probably these have got to come off as well. Don't know what that's for. Put it in the pile of bits. The great reveal. And I have to say, I've worked on these before. So I do know I've had to repair the front panel display going back a long time. So what have we got? We've got, in effect, two completely the same power supplies either side and one control PCB. This PCB here just takes care of the GPIB interface, which I don't use, never have done. This came to me as faulty many moons ago. So we've got something heavily under load. So I think the first thing to do is to drop the secondary off. So this one has got a little inductor around it. Is that an inductance or is that another transformer? Ah, that's the transformer for the GPIB interface. Hence there's only one. You've got the two mains power supplies, power transformers here, fitted in from the bottom. So what is the first thing to attempt? These two heat sinks, three heat sinks on the back here, these are for the pass elements, so they do radiate a bit of heat because it's a linear power supply, hence it's heavy. So I think the first thing to do is try and get at the secondary of the transformer and disconnect it before we go anywhere, just to see if it's the transformer at fault, maybe that has shorted turns, or it's the electronics. Because I can hear sizzling, I suspect it's the electronics, and I suspect it's the deadly capacitor. But there we are. Right, those leads come around, of course they go to the bridge rectifier. So if I just take one of those terminals off and power back up via the isolation transformer, we should see whether it's the transformer or the electronics. I need a little flat bladed screwdriver and or a pair of pliers to just help me out with that. Okay, that is one lead of the secondary and that's the other. You know, no current can flow now, so I'm only going to bother removing the one. Just for safety, we shall connect to the isolation transformer. That lead there can come out. Yeah, that one can go in. Things are still too much of a mess in here. Right, we have power. So I'm now just going to switch on. Would you look at that? So that is clearly no longer humming, and in fact the display's working, it's just showing nothing. And interesting, it's instantly gone into current limit, despite the fact we can't adjust anything because nothing is working. Right, okay, so we have a load in the electronics. The front panel does control the current and the voltage in this sort of driver PCB down here, which then drives the output stage if memory serves. So we have a short circuit somewhere, and because it's quite a dramatic short circuit, I'm wondering if it's the bridge rectifier. So I'm just going to sneak another lead off there. I'm just going to take the positive off. So that shouldn't make any difference. Now, if we've got any shorts on here, we're in trouble. Okay, so that's okay. Oh dear. Looks like we've lost a diode on our bridge rectifier. Let's take all the connections off just to make doubly sure, but I'm pretty sure our bridge rec has failed. Rotten luck. Looks like a substantial part as well, doesn't it? Oh yeah. There should not be a short circuit there. So we've lost a diode in our bridge rectifier. Now, appears to be a nut there. So we're going to need some form of spanner maybe to get that off. It looks too big to be... Oh, I don't know. I wonder if it's M4BA, which would be convenient, wouldn't it? I doubt it. It'll be some metric thing. Yeah. Shame. Now, have I got my little set of nut spinner things that for the kit? Ah, it's up here. I'm still not quite sorted where everything's hiding. I wonder if we've got anything big enough in there. That may well be. Oh, I've dropped it. Oh. No, I don't think it is. No, not a chance. Let's see what we've got in the spanners on the other side. Comes to something when you need a tool to be able to remove the tool. Would you look at that? We're away. In fact, I wonder if that's part of our cause, that wasn't quite bolted up right against its heatsink. It's also just using the sort of steel as the heatsink. Mind you, there's all this heat-sinking material behind. I'm hoping this nut is, this thread that it's stuck on is captive actually. Otherwise, I'm going to have to strip all this down, which would be difficult. That's the nut removed. Some washers and the bridge itself. Oh, there's a little insulating tab behind there. I wonder if part of the case is connected. You'll notice on the bridge rectifier, by the way, 3 spade connectors in that sort of horizontal position and 1 in the vertical. One with the vertical as well is always marked with the positive symbol. So that is your positive DC output. Negative is diagonally opposite, and these 2 are the AC. So they're always the same. Let's just have a quick Google. Looks to be a univac. Okay. Let us have a quick Google, see what the part is. It is a Kilo Bravo Papa Charlie 2502. There it is. It's still available as well. It's 25 volts at 200 amps. No, can't be right. 25 amps, 200 volts. There it is, available from Switch Electronics. They're £1 each. Now, I'm wondering if I've got such a thing. So this is my magical drawer of diodes. We've got some very tiny bridge rectifiers. What's that? Looks... Oh, no, that's the part. Look. KBB 2506. I bet you that's 25 amps at 600 volts. So that'll be an improvement. Still in the same physical size package. I will just Google that part number. There you go. So that one's written upside down, but physically the same size. They always are. Let's just Google that part number to make sure it is acceptable. It is Kilo Bravo Papa C2506. 25 amp, 600 volts. I was right. I may have done this before. Only thing is, no, the pinout is the same, so all the leads will reach. Excellent news. So I'm just going to do one thing before we go mad, and that is just to connect it up, give it a brief smoke test, just in case we've got another fault that has damaged the rectifier, actually. I don't want to risk damaging the new one, but let's not have all the stress and hassle of mounting it back up again if it's just going to fail very quickly. Right, mains is going back on. Just give it a quick blip. And would you look at that? 12 volts. Excellent. And the current limit is starting to work again. 18. That is, quite simply, the fault. How wonderful. Right. All that remains to do is to put it back together, I suppose. So, yeah, I'm just going to disconnect it again. I wonder if the sizzling noise I heard was just the transformer getting hot, because obviously half of one phase is going to be driving into a dead short ground. So, where was my hardware? I put the nut there, didn't I? There's the washer. Where's the other washer? There were two. Excellent. Well, that's gone better than I hoped. So we can see one pin is odd. That's our red. Do you know what? I have got it 45, not 45, 90 degrees out. But it doesn't make any difference. That diagonally opposite is the black. Ooh, and the two yellows, which is our AC. Going like that. Final smoke test. Mains power going on. Oh, absolutely super. I will just check the output is somewhere in the region of, because if it's not, that could be tricky. Okay, so there. I haven't got any output. Let's switch the output on, shall we? Right, I have got 5.68 volts, and it says 5.69 on there. That's close enough for government work. Excellent. We have repaired the power supply. Let's get the case back together, put it back on the shelf, and continue with tidying up the filthy workshop. There we go. Final test. Ah, absolutely perfect. Fabulous. And there it is, back in its rightful place, hopefully to give a few more years sterling service yet. And taken out of service by a £1.61 component, and not a difficult repair at all, really. So there we are. It's not the only piece of test equipment I've had break in the workshop. The Quantec is playing up, which is a bit of a pain. That's intermittently not starting up or taking a long time to start up. I suspect capacitors, but I always do. Also, I want to do a couple of radio videos. So we've got a couple of old CB radios that somebody gave me recently, a couple of Unidens. Not the nicest radio in the world to work on, I must say. For that, I'm going to need a modulation analyzer, and I own two, and neither of them are working at the moment. I've got a Roden Schwartz FAM 1363, is it? And a Rakel, neither of which are operating, so they both need looking at. So much stuff to do. But just for now, it's going to be carrying on with clearing up the workshop. But nice to have that back on the shelf. Right, click like, subscribe, do all that rubbish, and I'll see you very soon here on Doz's Television Workshop. Cheers, bye.